Sounds good.
Well, here we are. Welcome to the first episode of The Common Man. I love the podcast name because it doubles over as Come On Man. Right now you've got me. I'm Justin Cook. I am a 26-year-old young man who's been through a couple different life situations that have given me a lot more experience than the common 26-year-old. The man I am with today and also a co-host is...
I'm Brandon Baxter, a 43-year-old father of three, divorced, newly transplanted from one state to the next. And for those who want to talk about life being an adventure, I can give you some insight to some of those adventures. And like Justin was saying, a lot of the conversations that we have tend to break down into, just kind of getting into the depths of, being the common man.
Being somebody. I think
right.
Living this life, you're going to run into similar experiences as other people.
Of course.
We're all programmed similarly, and we view situations the same way. We have a lot of different experiences that change our perceptions on things. So it's not necessarily the exact same experience, but we all go through fear, we all go through doubt, we all go through insecurity.
You have your ups, you have your downs.
For sure.
Everyone talks about how life is a roller coaster, or the ebb and flow, the tides of life. The ocean, how the waves crash the beach and then they pull away.
Yeah,
that's true. It's all very true. You have your highs, and sometimes when you're riding that high and you're not prepared for that low that's coming up just around the corner, it hits you in the face like a brick.
One of my favorite speakers, Jim Rohn, he talks about it as the seasons. And he loves to refer to it as, how often does summer follow spring and how often does winter follow fall. He says every year with regularity for 6,000 is what he says. So there are definitely times to sow and times to reap.
Yeah.
And we're going to jump into some of the life experiences we have and just give our perspective on it. You don't have to take anything we say tonight as gold. You don't have to take it and change every part of your life. I want you to internalize what we're saying and see if you relate to it in any way, shape, or form.
Think about it.
Think about it.
We're not saying we're experts in the least bit. That's why we're the common man.
We are the common man. We
But
get it right with some things, I think.
Most things. That's
most things. I hope. I mean, there's a lot of good and bad that happen in life, and
sure.
From what our conversations have led to, I definitely appreciate your perspective.
Thank you.
And adding you into my life has been an incredible experience, enough for us to want to sit down and talk about it. So, Brandon, why don't you tell me a little bit about your story, where you're from, what you do now, and what's kind of the focus for the next phase of your life, and maybe some lessons you've learned, small lessons. We'll jump in more detail that you've learned.
And there's, you said start with the story, and I've got a lot of them, which that's part of who I am, to be honest with you. I am a storyteller. As a matter of fact, most recently I've become more of a writer, freelance writing, but I have published a children's book. I'm working on a more adult-driven book, and when I say adult, I don't mean like the Danielle Steele type of a novel.
Heck yeah!
But
if you ever write one,
I probably could. I could get into that too. I've got some stories there too. But that having been said, as I mentioned before, I'm a 43-year-old divorced father of three. I have a 10-year-old son, 7-year-old twins. My daughters, although one is more boy than their brother, and it's awesome. I do everything for my kids, which is how I ended up in Florida and how I ended up meeting Justin. I'm from Ohio. I'm from Cleveland, Ohio. I-O. And I am a proud Ohio and a proud Clevelander, and I defy anyone to go out there and meet somebody who's from Cleveland who wouldn't give their life for that city. That's how much we love the city of Cleveland. Now, that being said, my ex-wife and I are good friends. We get along very well. Her and her husband, they transferred to Orlando, Florida, which is where we are. for jobs. They came down here for jobs, and I couldn't imagine living 1,000 miles away from my kids. So I picked up and I moved here. I joke that everything I do is to freelance my life away, but I'm at a point in my life where I enjoy that. I've had those 9-to-5 jobs. I've had those office jobs. I've had retail jobs, restaurant jobs, sales. I've worked in television. So I mean, there's a lot of different things that I've done that I feel like I've experienced, and all of those things have added up to make me who I am right now. And I've told Justin this before in some of our previous conversations. Some of the things I've gone through over the last, say, 5 or 6 years, and the changes I've made to myself, I am a happier man now with who I am, or whom I am, than what I was in the previous 35 to 37 years of life.
Making less money.
Making less money, yeah.
Having less responsibility.
Sure.
But who are you to your kids now versus where you were before?
Well, I mean, I've always been there for my kids. That was never ever an issue. My kids, they always come first. My son has multitude of food allergies that he has to deal with, ADHD, confidence problems. I shouldn't say problems, but he's learning. He's 10. And thankfully, because his mom and I, we get along so well, we're there for him. We're there for the twins as they grow, and making sure that we are both positive influences, and we take what we learned from our upbringing. And I think that's probably a subject we'll eventually get to, if not today, maybe another time.
Yeah.
But we're all products of our upbringing. We're all products of the surroundings in which we've lived, and I think that's important to remember that, because you might have been brought up a certain way. You might have been raised a certain way. You don't have to be that person if that's not truly who you are. And that's what I found out about myself, Justin.
Yeah.
I have found that I am a better version of Brandon than what I ever was in my, like I said, my previous 35 to 36 years.
Do you think you found a lot of that through the hardships that you've gone through?
Definitely. Specifically the divorce.
Yeah.
And I can't sit here and say it was or was not a messy divorce. Most people are going to say, oh, divorces suck. Divorces are messy. Yeah, they suck. Because you think when you marry somebody that this is it, right? This is how it's going to be. And if I'm being brutally and completely honest with you and with myself, it's that I did a lot of those things as far as building a married life, a family, starting a family, kind of settling down in, where I grew up in Ohio, just outside of Cleveland, a very, very white suburb, very white area, far right Republican, very, very, very super Christian. And for me growing up, I always had questions about those things. Why do we have to vote Republican?
Right.
Why do I believe in God?
Right.
Why do I do this, that, or the other? And I internalized those for fear of judgment, retribution. I'm not, okay, all of a sudden I'm thinking differently than others around me. And unfortunately, those ruminations all came to fruition 9 years after I was married.
Yeah.
And, to say that I self-imploded and basically annihilated what was, on the outside to most people who were viewing us, a happy marriage, that's probably an understatement.
Yeah. I think when I look back on my path, if I met the guy who I was, and again, I'm 26, but if I'd have met the same man or young adult that I was at 16 and 17, I'd smack myself in the face at some of the things that I know I would have said.
Right.
The experiences that I had through school and then when I got out of school have really changed and formed who I am today. And the perspective has changed because I allowed it to change. I went into areas in my life that I was ignoring, and I really wanted to try to learn and understand. When I started to view others in certain ways, luckily I've had this weird, I don't know if it's an extra way to listen to people or listen to myself, but I'm never really am able to remove myself from what I'm saying. I constantly listen to the words that come out of my mouth. And there's been times where I've said things or talked to somebody and 30, 40 minutes later, or even the next day, I'm like, why did I say that? And when I meet individuals who have different backgrounds from me, the experience that comes along with all of that is something that I cherish, because it's an opportunity to learn, it's an opportunity to change, it's an opportunity to become more than what I was at the first time. And that's why our relationship has been so incredible, because I was seeking that. At this stage in my life, I was looking for more people who wanted more from life, or at least were seeking to understand why they do what they do and why others do what they do, but weren't in a position where they were angry about the outcome of life. They were understanding of it, and then understanding their role in it and what they can do in the future. And that's why we're here, is to talk about something.
And I kind of want to key in on something that you just said there, Justin, because you don't have to be angry at outcomes. I mean, there are things, yes, it's okay to be, I'm not saying it's not okay to be angry.
Right.
That is something that I learned over the years, is that, as I was growing up, I was basically referred to as happy-go-lucky Brandon.
Right.
Nothing ever made me angry. I was always jovial, exuberant personality, and I'm still all those things.
Right.
However, as you go through life, and I've got almost 20 years on you, shit beats you down. It does. It really does. And something that you said, where I guess when you start to look at where you've come from, and if I can ask you that, like where do you feel that's kind of where that kind of clicked for you?
Yeah, I went to Catholic high school, and this is my summary here, does not state how a whole Catholic religion views any of the things I'm going to talk about.
Right.
So just know that this is the perception, this is the group thought. Whether it applies everywhere or not is not my place to say.
Right. That's probably a conversation for another
time. One that we could probably have and really delve into.
Oh, I'm sure.
If the time allowed it. But one example we'll talk about is let's just do it. Let's just jump into it. So sexuality in the school that I was in, we didn't have very many people in the school that were outwardly either gay or experience or questioning or anything like that. We only had a handful. So in my upbringing, we never talked about it. My family never talked. It was just not even brought up. It wasn't one way or the other.
Yeah.
When it came down to how the religion was perceived to view these individuals and that lifestyle, that was kind of the only experience I had.
Of course.
When I got to college, on my floor, I had multiple different people who I adore to this time. Because I went to a boarding school and then went on to college, and on both floors, we are both experiences in both years that I lived in those environments. I learned from individuals who were questioning, were fully understanding of where their position was.
Sure.
That and those conversations, and I'll break down a little bit about what I believe in those situations to be why I was able to learn.
Right.
I was never argumentative. I never hated the person. It was just more of a blanket I didn't understand. And these people loved me enough, they loved life enough, and were firm enough in their beliefs that they allowed me to question, and they allowed the conversation to happen. And when the conversation was able to happen, then I got to list off and say the things that I quote unquote believed to be true.
Right.
With me and how I listened to what I say, when that stuff would come out of my mouth, then I got to internalize and say, wait a second, this doesn't hold up in the real world.
Right. Where am I coming from here?
Where am I coming from?
Yeah.
What is that? Who believed that? Who told me to believe the way that I believed?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes, I
And
do.
when you break down that fundamental, that can change every aspect of your life, and it started to.
Yes.
That's why I believe that love is so important. And I don't mean love like go around and hug everybody. I don't mean that, when I break down love, I really mean loving principle, not loving people.
Sure.
Loving truth.
Accepting.
Right. And knowing that the reason why people are who they are is because the experiences that they've had in life have led them to that conclusion. I mean, we're not just meandering through life and figuring it out as we go and how we feel about stuff. We're carrying all the baggage of all the experiences that we have through those situations.
Yes.
It's the truth. That's how we view things. So when I look back on those situations, I don't hate myself for feeling the way that I
Right.
did. I understand it. I love me then just as much as I do now. I didn't have all the information.
Yeah.
But luckily, something in me allowed the information of others to permeate in my head. And that's where I started to talk to these people and realize all of what I've heard my entire life didn't hold true. They were letting me say it and then not demeaning
Without
me.
realizing why.
Exactly.
Yes.
Without demeaning me, telling me I'm stupid for what I believe.
Right.
Although when we got into religion topics, I did get a lot of that from a handful of different people.
And that's a slippery slope to get into.
It is.
Just like politics.
It is.
I mean,
but then it made me question. And then when you question, especially if there's that embarrassment along it, now you have more of an incentive to learn.
Yeah.
I think. Because I don't want to be in that situation again. I don't want to be in a group where all of a sudden the 10 people I'm hanging out with or the 10 people I'm discussing life with don't agree with me.
And
there
that's
must
the
be
only
something different.
experience you have.
Yeah.
I mean, there are so many more people out there.
Mm-hmm.
There are more experiences to you have that intake, and then you have that takeaway afterwards. After the fact. And I'm glad that you went through that at that age. I mean, you were considerably younger than when I where I grew up, everyone looks like me.
Yeah.
You're
in that microcosm.
Right.
And that's some of the issues
Right.
we could jump into with
Absolutely.
what's going on social and on here.
I mean, you could get into race. You could get into. I mean, you touched on homosexuality, and these were things that, based on my upbringing, based on my family and their belief system, the way that I was raised and expected to behave. It was, in essence, hate being taught without it being inferred. It was just basically, what, gay's wrong. You shouldn't, you shouldn't be friends with somebody like that, or don't bring a black girl home, or something like that. And I would hear that
from friends, from
friends and family.
everything.
Yes, and
in their hierarchical position, it's not right to question that.
exactly.
You know what I mean?
And so I took those, like you said, I took those questions in my own heart and my brain, and I took those and I internalized those for years. Another thing that I didn't realize was such an issue: sex.
Yeah.
There was never a sex discussion for me when I was growing up. It was basically just inferred: don't do it, don't have sex, and then if you do, you're not to be enjoying it. It's because you're trying to have kids.
Yeah.
My sex life was terrible.
Yeah. Well, that's your education on it.
Right. Exactly.
Whoa.
And
this
that's
is
him
completely
working.
against. If you're outside of marriage, don't. Whoa. This whole thing
Right.
is bad. You're wrong. It's break it down.
And
leave room for the Holy Spirit when you're dancing.
Yeah. Yep.
It's true.
Now, I didn't go to a Catholic school, so
No.
but I have friends who
No.
did, so I know exactly where you're coming from.
Yeah.
But just taking all of those examples that we just threw out there, I'm not saying that everyone's parents suck or families suck. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is that everyone should understand that it's okay to question things. And I know we now live in a day and age where openly questioning things is encouraged.
Yeah.
And if it's not, then that's being suppressed by people who don't want you to either know an answer or understand. I mean, we're kind of at a tipping point in society in that case. And I really think that we're right there on the edge where we can either go one way or the other.
Yeah.
We're taking steps forward or we're taking 18 steps backwards.
Right.
I don't know why I picked 18, but that number jumped out.
I was thinking that number.
I read your mind. You didn't know I could do that.
When it comes down to that scenario, I get in a lot of debates with people on the internet, and whether it's a positive tool in society or it's a negative tool in society. I'm interested to hear your thoughts on the internet, the connectivity of where we are, the free access towards this information, the abundance of information out there. Anything you pick out of that, just jump in and start talking about.
I'll start with this. Not everything is fake news. I mean, obviously that's a term that's been coined and been used for several years now. And too many people nowadays, they they grab that term and they stick with that, and they think, okay, well, I'm not going to watch the news, I'm not going to read the internet, but what they're doing, and this is what most people are doing now, and I'm guilty of doing it too in certain cases, they find that one source where they feel like they can believe what they're reading or hearing or seeing, and they don't branch out to any other kind of options out there.
And when I think about that, that is definitely the issue. If you jump into your hole and you stay in your hole, then
you're putting on the blinders to everything else.
There was an experiment, and I'm probably going to butcher this, but the experiment or the philosophy that was talking about this group of people who was in a cave and all they could see were the shadows on the wall, and they had no idea about the outside world at all because they were in their cave and they were looking at these shadows. So they whatever the shadow was, they thought, that's humanity, that's people, or whatever. But they're in this cave, and this is all they know.
That's their experience.
That's their experience.
Right.
To me, we have to take that experience, and we have to go out in the world, and we have to test it.
Yeah.
We have to test it. That's why conversation is so important.
Yes.
Because I'm telling you, on every single grouping of information, I felt like I look back on myself and how I thought when I was 16, 17, 18, and 21, and I'm just like, wow.
I could go back.
I wish I knew better.
8-9 years ago, and my thought patterns were different. My actions were different. I have to admit that there was a good chunk of my life where I feel like, looking back on it retrospectively now, that I was not the real Brandon that I am now. I was putting on an act.
Yeah,
I was pretending to be somebody for everybody else's enjoyment and pleasure, and to get to know this, again, happy-go-lucky Brandon.
Yeah, and I know your background and your little bit of your upbringing. If you want to jump into that and maybe focus on why in your adulthood you were still trying to maybe go for some of those needs you had as a younger kid because of the dynamics of your household.
Yeah.
I think a lot of what I've experienced can be broken down to how I was raised and what my family dynamic was as a kid.
Sure.
So if you want to speak to maybe why you trying to appease everybody comes from maybe how your family dynamic was.
Part of it probably comes from, my parents divorced when I was 7 years old. And without going into their issues that led to the divorce, I lived with my mom and my sister, and we saw our dad regularly. He was always, in the picture. And I give him a lot of credit because there were times where, he had to get his act together. Yeah. And he did. And I really do. I give him a lot of credit for that. And I give my mom a lot of credit because she basically raised my sister and I and did that on her own. Now, with all that being said, and myself being a parent now, I know how easy it is to fall into patterns that you were raised with. Yeah. So my parents raised me based on how they were raised by their parents. And I sometimes find myself saying things to my kids that, I can pick that out. My mom used to say that to me, or my dad used to say that to me, or my mom still says something like that to me in some respect. And I think that breaking that pattern is very important when you're raising children. So to kind of go back to what you were asking, I feel like I was kind of going off the tangent there for a second.
Fill it up, man.
I didn't realize how damaging that can be to a child, and to an individual, even as a young adult. Yeah. When I guess my mentality was, I want to make sure that my mom is happy with who I'm growing up to be. My dad is happy with who I'm growing up to be. Our society, my mom owned a restaurant in the small town that we lived in. Everybody knew her. Everybody came to the restaurant, which meant everyone knew me because I worked there. Yeah. I couldn't get away with anything. I never even tried when I was a kid. I didn't get away with shit. My dad owned gas stations. He was a local mechanic. Everybody went to him. So everyone knew me by association from my parents. And so I felt this pressure. I didn't realize that's what it was at the time, but I felt this pressure to act appropriately, whatever that is. My impression of acting appropriately was, don't swear.
Yeah.
Don't say bad words.
Mm-hmm.
Don't lie. Don't have sex
until
you're married. You know, and
my.
all of that sort of stuff. And go to church every Sunday and
Mm-hmm.
vote Republican, because we've always voted Republican.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just, it was accepted.
Yeah.
And again, like I said before, Justin, I questioned these things probably as early as 15, 16 years old. And I could probably count on one hand how many times I actually talked to somebody about it.
Mm-hmm.
I could count on one finger.
Yeah.
How many times I talked to somebody about it.
Yeah.
And nothing came of it because I didn't realize I was afraid. But I was. If I'm being honest, I was afraid of judgment. I was afraid of, being looked at differently because I didn't just blindly accept, or didn't want to just blindly accept. Now, at some point, that switch flipped into full-on accepting everything that I'm told, and I'm just going to go right with it. Because
be agreeable.
I did.
Mm-hmm.
I really did. I mean,
conflict
20 years
is
ago,
terrible, man. We really don't want to be that person that goes against. Wow.
And let's think about it this way too. Nobody likes to be wrong.
Mm.
No one likes to be wrong. No one likes to be told that they're wrong.
Yeah.
Or that they're doing something wrong.
Yeah.
No one likes that. So most people just go right along with it. They just kind of flow right along with it. At some point in my life, that switched for me. I think part of it was, at that moment when I can tell you the switch flipped.
Yeah.
I realized that I was in the wrong life. I was living my wrong life.
Right.
And when the dust settled and the ashes, were swept away after the divorce and everything else, I was tasked with rebuilding Brandon as a different individual from what other people knew, but really as the self that I should have been all along.
It's powerful. It's powerful because I think it's common. Now, there are individuals out there who know who they are and have never denied that fact from a young age. And these people are incredible. They're very far and few between.
Yes.
I've only encountered a handful. And at my age of 26, when I break down my story and where I'm from, I've been successful. I've done some incredible things. I've been a part of some amazing organizations and been a part of some historical events. And it's awesome. It's great. So by anybody else's standard, they look at me and say, wow, you've been successful.
Right.
Good job. High five.
But that's their standard.
That's their standard.
Right.
What they don't understand is that there's been multiple times in my life where I've started to get on the right path. I felt that this urge that I have now. This isn't the first time where I've sat down and looked at myself and said, hey, I'm not happy with a lot of these skills. I'm not happy with my mindset. I'm not happy with the productivity I'm getting out of my life. Let's ramp it up. Let's figure it out. Let's put more effort in. This isn't the first time I've done that. Multiple times I've done it. So when we look back on those, what's different? And I think now it's that perspective of look at what you could have been. Don't be mad at yourself. Don't hate yourself for who you are now. And don't hate yourself for making those decisions, because at those times in my life, I was trying to appease others because I didn't have a clear enough vision of who I was becoming.
Right.
And that vision wasn't pulling me into the future. It wasn't allowing me to deal with a lot of these insecurities and shine light into the areas in my life fully where I was not only insecure, but I was lacking.
Right.
Discipline and effort and energy. And it's small things. It's organizing your life. It's organizing your time. It's being able to say no. It's choosing who you spend time with and who you don't spend time with. It's choosing what job or what hobby you put your time and energy into. All of those little things are what make up who you are, because it's how you spend your day to day. And I wasn't paying attention to those,
But how do you know to pay attention to them if you weren't aware of them?
No, you weren't. And we talked about this a couple different times, but it's looking back now, I now have I would say almost 10 years of, hey, this is where I should be. This is who I want to be. I'm excited about this. I'm going to do it. And then life starts to happen. Responsibilities start to take over.
Yep.
And situations come up where I believe something, but then I let whoever is dominant in that position or whoever's opinion I'm trying to have favor me. I just let whatever they believe be the truth. Now it's different because, and I'll say it, I don't know how we're allowed to swear or whatever, but I really don't.
Dropped a few.
You did. But I really don't give a fuck about what that other person thinks of me because my aim is larger than myself.
Yeah.
And now there's more momentum moving in that direction for the pursuit of what's good, the pursuit of the better me.
Right.
There is nothing bad that comes out of becoming a better human being, a more understanding human being, a more efficient human being, a more focused human. There's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
There's no issue. If I'm more organized and I hold my promises and my energy and effort goes into bettering those around me and pushing for a higher level of success, there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
Good people do good things with power. Good people do good things with money. Good people do good things with influence.
It can happen.
And that's where if your aim's right, and a lot of what we've talked about is that we really enjoy humanity, people, the how am I trying to say it? The understanding of why people make decisions and connecting with those individuals. We're not trying to demean anybody, put anybody down.
No, not the least bit.
But this mindset is agreeable, and that's where it's dangerous. Is that we want to be not liked, but we want to just keep the peace. Where sometimes we've got to go, and I want to say quote unquote war. We've got to raise a little bit of the heat and stand up for what we believe is right, because then our morals get tested, and truth wins long run. Because it has to continually be tested. Right. And if you're more confident in what you believe is truth, then you share it. And then it gets tested again. And if it's not right, then you can change it.
And it's okay if it's questioned, because that's the testing right there. That's okay.
You have to be able to stand up to it.
I didn't understand that at a younger age.
No. And
I did not. I the way I understood it was, this is the way things are.
This is the way things are.
So you have to accept it.
It doesn't make sense to me, so I'm just going to believe it, because the people telling me wouldn't want to steer me wrong with
Exactly.
And they're not doing it on purpose, because to them, they don't want to have to question it.
Right.
It's easy to get into a program and let the program run you.
And that's what life is. That's what life is. In some respects, that's what, we'll get into politics some other time.
Some of the time.
But no, in all seriousness though, it is. That's what life is. We, as I pointed out before, we're all products of our environment, and we're products of those who came before us. And so, if those individuals who are our superiors, or maybe somebody we look up to, if they're not willing to follow, not to say trends, but follow the way the world is basically going at this point, either they're going to get completely lost, left in the dust.
Hope so. On some of their opinions.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But if they're able to, figure out up here, in their mind, how to change their way of thinking, it's okay to do that. I know I'm a different person than what most people knew me, 10 years ago.
Yeah. You have more perspective.
Absolutely.
Why does our identity have to connect to these principles that aren't even us?
Right. They don't have to. They don't. But we accept them as that. Most people. I have met some wonderful people who, and actually I've met some great people who have been wonderful influences on me to help me get past all of that.
Yeah.
Right? To help me grow to be the person I am now.
Yeah.
Those people probably either learned it at an earlier age, and so they were a little bit, I'll say seasoned, they were a little bit more seasoned in it by the time they got to me or I met them. But I'm glad that I did.
Yeah.
And as I've said before, I'm a happier person now where I am in my life, the things that I do. And I do a lot, just like you.
Yeah.
I find myself getting involved in a lot of different things.
Stuff.
And
Stay busy.
Personally, I think that's awesome about life. Why not? Why pigeonhole yourself into a 9-to-5 job at a goddamn job business where you're sitting in a cubicle all day and you're wasting your life away? For what? I've had those jobs. I was miserable.
Mm-hmm.
I say it jokingly. I would rather walk out in front of an oncoming snowplow than have to work one of those jobs.
Yeah.
I would rather eat the business end of a bazooka than have one of those jobs. I can't do it.
Yeah.
And I've found ways to make it work.
Yeah.
Within the last 2 or 3 years, I've been happier in the things that I do. And as I said before, I'm freelancing my life away. Okay, great. I'll find the next thing.
Yeah.
And then the next, absolutely. That's what life should be.
Powerful things that I've ever heard was from one of the most wealthy people I've ever met.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of my best friends, and we don't talk much, but he's still my best friend in case you see this. Care about him tremendously, one of the most amazing families. The man has done a lot, and by any means of the imagination is extremely successful.
Mm-hmm.
And he tells me one thing. I did an internship for 3 months on the Board of Trade in Chicago, and talk about the cubicle. I used to file away insurance numbers and put everything in all these file folders, and I would fall asleep by 2-3 o'clock in the afternoon. And
every day, like
in the
closet.
Oh yeah, man, I was in the closet filing this stuff up, and my friend would open the door about 5 o'clock, and he's like, "What are you doing in here?" And I'm like, "I'm sleeping. Let me be.
I'm filing.
I'm putting this away." But what I learned from him was this: that the human being is the most adaptive species that's ever lived on this earth.
True. Very true. Yes.
You can live to any means that you want.
Yep.
Because I was telling him, I need to make this amount of money because in order to be happy, I need this kind of car, I need this house. And you could tell, because he's in his 50s and 60s, you could tell he was just smiling. He's like, "I've been through where you are." And he said, "You can be happy at any level. You can live life at any level." Happiest person I've ever met is the gym teacher at my middle school. That's it, Mr. Stahl. And I've been around millionaires. I've been around people who make a couple $100,000 a year.
Yeah.
And then this individual who makes, who I don't know how much he makes, but I know what his net worth is, and it's way, way north of $250,000, or not $250,000, $250 million and up. The happiest person I know is a gym teacher who rides his Harley to 6th and 7th grade, and he's very religious and works with the kids and tries to be a great mentor.
I think that's great.
So in that human experience, you can adapt and change to your surroundings. And that's what this whole podcast to me really is the happiest you've ever been is where you are right now. Because you have control over your life.
Yeah.
It's not the money, it's not the pursuit of money, it's the pursuit of something greater than yourself, or it's the pursuit of becoming the best version of yourself and understanding yourself the most.
I can sleep better at night that way.
That's important.
Yeah.
Gosh, your sleep is so important. Being happy is so important. Being fulfilled is so much more important.
Absolutely, Justin. And the thing is that, and I don't want anyone to take the wrong message from what I was saying. I'm not, shitting on having a 9-to-5 job.
Yeah.
I went from 20 years ago, I was a sports producer in Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
Best job I ever had, most fun job I ever had.
Mm-hmm.
Covering the local Cleveland sports teams. LeBron James was a rookie. I got to cover him coming out of high school. It was just some of the coolest things I ever did.
Mm-hmm.
But then I got married, and I'm not blaming this on my marriage either. I got married because I felt that's what I was supposed to do. And at that point, I realized, okay, working a producer's job was detrimental to the type of marriage that we wanted to have, or that I thought I wanted to have.
Mm-hmm.
And so I quit there, and I took a 9-to-5 as a sales rep. I made a shit ton of money doing it. Don't have a dime to show for it, and nothing but stress and headaches in the year and a half that I did it. I was miserable. So again, those jobs are for somebody out there.
Yeah.
I know they're not for me, is what I'm trying to say. It just took me a lot of trial and error to find that and figure that out.
Yeah.
Much like with anything else in life.
Yeah. I've moved multiple different careers and done a lot of different things. I feel the same way. And luckily I've found out now where I'm at that money isn't my driving factor.
Yeah. It's nice. It's nice to have. Yeah. You can do a lot of things with it.
But do a lot more I can when I have it than when I can't. It's afforded me a lot of abilities to actually hone in who I am and figure out what I want to do. If I would have not had the opportunities that presented themselves to me and seized them when they showed up, then I wouldn't have been able to jump into where I'm at now and get this opportunity. That's for sure.
Right.
So I don't want to take away from that as a benefit, as a privilege that I've had. But when opportunities came, I jumped on. I went head first. Typically I didn't question, which gets me in trouble in some of the other stuff I've jumped into.
Yes, same here.
But when opportunity came, I said, hey, this is something that's really cool. Let me just go.
Right.
Take the blinders, put them on, and just focus on something and go full out. Which is how I've gotten to learn because of the effort and energy that I put into some of this stuff. And you can't take that away. The amount of information that I learned in those situations is pivotal to where I'll end up in the future. That's for sure.
And just one more thing that I can add to that is, as far as we know, this is the only life we have to live.
That's it.
As far as we're aware, we don't get we don't get a do-over. We don't get another shot at this. So why not go out there and just do the cool shit?
Just try it.
I mean, seriously, I feel like it took me a long time to really grasp that for myself. And I encourage anybody and everybody. I tell my kids all the time, don't be afraid to put yourself out there. Mm-hmm. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there. Don't be afraid to chase what it is you feel you want to do. As long as you're not hurting somebody or you're putting yourself in danger or anybody else, put yourself out there. We were talking off camera a little bit ago. I had an opportunity before I moved to Florida to be an extra in a couple of movies that were filming in Cleveland. And just out of nowhere, I saw it on social media that they were looking for extras, and I signed up for it. And here I ended up, having an opportunity. The old Brandon wouldn't have done that.
Right.
The old Brandon wouldn't have taken that chance, that opportunity. And it's not like something that's going to go on my tombstone.
Right.
Hey, I was an extra in this movie. Look in the background, you'll see me. No one gives a shit. But my point is that it made me happy. Mm-hmm. It gave me an opportunity to see what else I can do out there.
Wow.
And there really are options for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
If what makes you happy is being a stay-at-home mom, be the best goddamn stay-at-home mom you can be. If what makes you happy is being a provider for your family and you're the man of the house, so to speak. Mm-hmm. Okay, do that, but do that to the best of your ability. But do it so that you're happy. Mm-hmm. Don't do it because you feel like you have to.
Right. I think there's a couple different philosophies that break down what you just said that I really have built my life around. If anybody's ever read the book Flow, where it talks about being in a positive mindset and how your memory is 30 to 40% better when you're happy or when you're in this engaged, positive mindset. And then you hear a lot of different individuals break down how much we're getting out of society, how much the average person puts in an effort, running at about 40 to 50% of your potential. Mm-hmm. And that's what I'm trying to combat. I want somebody who's 100% all in, doing the best they can do, because we have a lot of lawyers who should have been doctors. We have a lot of doctors who should have been, violinists or whatever, teachers. Or,
absolutely.
There's a lot of people who became something because of the economic factors that go along with the job title. And I hope we're getting to a point now with TikTok and with Instagram and with YouTube where somebody can be something specific and get really good at it and have a lot of depth and knowledge in it and then share it and actually make some money off of it. Right. So now that money doesn't become the necessary driver, the significance and the excellence and the persistence to becoming the best at it becomes the driver. Right. We need great nannies. We need really good nurses. We need incredible, incredible people working the desk in the pizza shops. And
there's a role for everybody, and if you do it, and if you have one of those roles, and you're happy doing it, you've achieved something. You've achieved something. You really have. One of the things I do is I drive Uber. Right. I drive rideshare. And I do it all over Orlando, from the airport down here, and I love it. You meet so many great people, And some of the conversations I've had have kind of lent themselves to, I guess what I'm trying to say is, going back to there's a role for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And I've told some of my passengers in our conversations that I give a lot of credit to, in some specifics, people who work in the medical field.
Yeah. People
who are, work in law enforcement and emergency services and soldiers. I give a lot of credit to those people because I know that's not me.
Yeah. Somebody
has to do it, and I'm thankful that we have people in this world who do those things, because I'm not going to be an emergency medic. I can't stand the sight of blood. I don't want to throw up when I see someone's organs falling out of their body. I can't deal with that. So I know that that's not me. I know I'm not a law enforcement officer.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a creative person. I'm a writer. I'm an individual who is I go out and I shake hands with people and I smile and have conversations. Like but that's me. I know me and I know what my role is. I'm glad that we have people who fill those other roles.
Yeah. When I break down my life path, that's who I was. For some reason, when I was young, I really didn't care about what anybody else thought. I was friends with everybody because everyone has a story. I connected with every individual. You can go into any high school because I went to multiple different high schools, and that would be the story. And I've had people reach out to me recently in life and talk about the way I made them feel when I didn't have to. And that's who I was. And then when I got into the relationship that I was in and the situation that I was in, it was almost like it was embarrassing that I would spend the extra 5 or 10 minutes getting to know the checkout lady at Lowe's. Right. Or when I was talking to the old man who was trying to point me in the right direction for a sliding glass door, I was talking to him for 20 or 30 minutes. And it wouldn't be like, hey, quit that and pull me away, but it would be later on in the afternoon, like, oh, Justin was just being Justin again. You should have seen him. He's talking to everybody. People are like, and I smile and I just kind of like, eh. But then I realized after the 2 or 3 years of that being the common theme at home, that I no longer was doing it. I didn't feel comfortable smiling at that random person in public.
They kind of put a damper on things.
They put a huge damper on things. That's my light, and I was removing that from the world. It's not that big a deal. Someone says hi to somebody in public, not a big deal. Wrong. I really believe that's wrong, because if you look through all of the letters I got when we went and did our Kairos trip in high school, I've got multiple in there that say, you used to come in, you smile and you talk to me, and there was a day where I was done. I had all this stuff going on in my life, and I was going home, and it was over for me. I was done. I had 3 people who wrote me a letter. I'm getting chills because 3 people wrote me that letter. 3. Who knows what the 40 or 50-year-old woman and man at Lowe's is feeling? Just spending the 5 to 10 minutes of your time that isn't going to cost you anything, can really mean the difference in somebody's life. And that passes on, because they're not gone after that. They then go home. Then they go and they see the lady at Starbucks on their way home. Who knows how far that travels? Not all of us have that gift. I'm not saying that's a gift and I'm incredibly talented, but I'm saying that for some reason
what you mean.
I enjoy people. It doesn't matter who they are, it doesn't matter what they look like, it doesn't matter what they've achieved. I enjoy getting to communicate with somebody and hear their story. And that was my light that I was letting get dampened entirely, because I was chasing money, I was chasing other people's feelings, I was chasing this example that I thought I wanted to live, all the possessions and all of the power or whatever, the status. And of course, it'd be really nice to drive these cars. It'd be nice to have a decent chunk of land. I have my goals that I want to achieve. But I want to do it in my way. I don't want to do it in the way that I was seeing other people, because that doesn't satisfy me. Whether that's right or wrong, we'll find out later. And I'm not afraid to say that bringing people up with you and growing in significance and stature and making sure that you're giving what you've taken is a bad thing. I'm pretty sure when we think in the long run, it's going to prove that philosophy is much better. And I'm not afraid to stand up and say that.
And I wish that there were more people who would look at things that way. I do. And I'm sure there probably are. I'm sure there probably are individuals out there who, they get it. I know there are. because we're a couple of them.
We're a couple, and we're not the only ones when we chat.
Right.
I've got tons of people that I know I want to sit across from and talk about things like this too. And I'm sure when you look at your list, there's a bunch as well. And I want someone to hear this, just one of you somewhere, to just think, man, I'm not really doing what I want to do. Let me change it up.
Find a way to do it.
You can always go back to where you are.
Sure. Yes, you're absolutely right, man. You are
Always
absolutely
can.
right, Justin. You can go back to where you just came from.
If you leave in the right way.
Right.
Now, some people would tell you, don't quit your job. Do what you're doing. Try to start something new. That's not how I did it. I spent every little penny I saved to try to start my new thing.
Everybody does things differently, and that's okay. There's no right or wrong way. You know, if you find yourself in the spot where you always felt you were meant to be, or where you've always wanted to be, if you find yourself there, then there was no right or wrong way to do it.
It's all part of the process.
Yeah.
Man, a lot of good stuff. I'd love to talk for the next 10 to 14 hours.
I mean, if we could keep people's attention, I think we could keep going. But
our attention,
we don't want to give it all away today.
No, we've got so much, man. We didn't really even jump into a lot of the topics and questions that we really wanted to talk about. We just got to get to know each other and talk about what we're passionate about. And that's what life's about.
Yep. And I know that our hope in doing this is that if anybody out there listening or watching has intrigued you at all, or piqued your interest, or made you think just a little bit more than what you were doing, before you turned this on.
Yeah.
Then we've done what we intended.
We've done it. And that's just start. Whatever's in your head, whatever you're thinking, just try it out. Yeah. Jeez, we're just two common men talking about what we want to talk about.
Come on, man.
Just do it. Or woman, or anybody, whoever you are. This is all we've got for today, and I cannot wait to speak with you again and connect. If anybody has any kind of questions, comments,
light them up. Absolutely.
Just tear us apart if we're completely
sucked,
off. We love
it. We didn't touch on something that you'd like to hear us talk about.
Of course.
Or you want us to stop talking.
Stop talking. Let us know that, so that way we can deliberately ignore you.
Just keep trucking, because that's what we're going to do anyway.
Exactly. So
awesome,
Brandon. I had an amazing time.
Thank you so much, Justin. I loved it. As per usual, we have good conversation.
Yeah. If anything else, I've definitely made a friend just in this situation. So
you're damn right. Same here. That goes both ways.
Cool, man. Look at that. We finished with 5 people. There have been 2 or 3 people who've watched this whole thing.
That's great. I really do hope that they take something positive away from this.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Hopefully we get to talk to you guys again the next time we do it. So, all right. We'll end it up here.
Thank you so much.
Have a good night, guys, or morning or afternoon. Cool, man. Fuck yeah.
We did it, yeah.
53 minutes. That doesn't even feel like work.
No.
That's what's crazy. Just chase. Figure it out, dude. Try something. If you hate it,
I always take. There's always something I take away from our conversations, and I know you do with others that you talk with, and I know I do with others that I talk with. If we as a society could just simply learn to listen to one another openly and acceptingly, then we'd be in a better spot right now.
So much better spot. That's why when I talk about love, I really believe that. I don't just mean like love, like that physical connection. I really mean the love of truth.
Yeah. Letting
someone just share and engage in that conversation. Yeah. That would fundamentally change who we are as a people, because like I said earlier, the truth, the truth can stand.
Yeah.
If someone wants to, they can berate it, they can yell over it, they can try their best, but whoever's listening is going to walk away with the truth, and they're going to think, wow, that guy who was yelling may have been louder, but he was wrong. I feel it in my soul. I don't know why, but I feel like I connect to this person. That's why us, people who want to speak, people who are good orators, should 100% chase their passions, because if we're coming from the right spot, that's a power. That's an ability to communicate is incredibly important. Yeah. because the wrong message communicated effectively can still be persuasive.
Mm-hmm.
That's dangerous.
That is very dangerous.
The wrong message communicated effectively can still be persuasive.
Yeah.
And we watched through history how that has happened.
Yeah.
So
Time
people
and time again.
who at least want good. I mean, I don't want anything. I think it's so cool. Where I was 6-7 months ago compared to now, I don't want anything from anybody.
Yeah.
And that's,
I get it.
That's dangerous.
I get that 100%.
I don't fit.
Right. And that's okay.
The freest stuff I've ever given away has come back to me 10 and 30
Yeah.
and 40 and 1,000-fold.
Yep. And that's the way that works. I mean, like I said, put yourself out there.
Mm-hmm. Man, this is cool. It's a cool world we live in because we don't know everything.
No.
We can learn daily for the rest
And
of
you'll
our lives
still
and we
never
never
know.
even get close.
When my switch was flipped,
Mm-hmm.
I went from just accepting things for what I believed them to be
Mm-hmm.
to fuck that shit. I want to learn everything that I possibly can.
Yeah.
And that included picking up books and reading, something that I never did. I didn't read books when I
No.
was younger.
I've read 3. I'm on my 3rd book fourth book since I've been down here.
That's awesome.
The hell, it's been 6 months. I haven't read 4 books probably my entire life.
Thank you.
The Red
Yes.
Fern Bros in middle school, and I don't know, Blue's Clues, or not even a thing. What's the big? You know, we had to read that book.
I
It made
know,
me
I
cry.
read that too.
It made me cry, dude. I was upset. It's a sad book.
It is. It is.
Dogs don't die. They just transfer from the world to heaven right away. That's where
Yes.
they go. And we just don't, they just... It's a sad fucking book.
It is.
But this is the only book I read. Now I've read 3 books this year.
That's awesome.
I can't believe
That
that.
is awesome. And the more you
should see
do
the text
that,
I
the
sent to
better.
my mom. I was like, a book.
That's cool.
She didn't believe me.
I love that.
I bragged to my mom. And nobody else bragged to. I bragged to my mom.
You're bragging to me, and I can dig that shit.
Yeah, I can. You were gonna say something rude.
No, we're good, man.
Cool. It's been fun. God, I can do this every week. I can do this 3 times a week. I feel more energized and excited.
I do too. Anytime I have conversations like this with somebody, I always feel like I'm ready to kick some ass.
Kick some ass.
Yeah.
It's just crazy because, like, the path I was going down and what I was doing, I was very good at. And I was making money. I had literally every little part of the journey was checkboxed. But fulfillment. Something was missing.
Yep.
Something was missing.
More than often, that's exactly the case.
How much money did we make on this podcast? 0.
Not a dime.
How much did you pay me? 4 people on there. 0. And I've enjoyed discussing and talking to you more than I've cashed checks at $25,000 and twice at different times. And those checks did not make me feel anywhere near as good as our hour conversation.
I couldn't agree more. I really couldn't. I totally understand where you're coming from.
I mean that. I really mean that. And
I've got almost 20 years on you.
I know.
So
I don't know what.
It doesn't feel like it.
Whether you call it a gift or you just call it my experience.
That's exactly what it is. And everyone's experience, of course, is different.
Mm-hmm.
And that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
There are some who are, downtrodden and oppressed and are not feeling like they're in that area where they can be successful. And it's up to people like us to reach out to those individuals. And not to say we're going to jump out there and say, right, we're not going to save every single person in the world. What I'm saying is that providing a positive message to somebody lets them know that, and depending on how they take it, you can only lead a horse to water.
Yeah.
Right? So, if someone's willing to take, and I'm not saying that we're doling out, pearls of wisdom. I'm not saying that we have a tried and true. Right.
You're going to be
I'm just simply saying we're speaking from a place that we can relate, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate to. And if somebody out there is struggling, like you pointed out, and can take something that we've said and go, that shit makes sense.
Yeah. That's worth it. That's worth every little part of it.
Absolutely.
Man, that's so true. If you could break it down into a formula of what we're trying to do, I think it's really simple, and I think it's Are you happy with where you are?
Yeah.
Overall?
That's got to be the first.
Is everything that you're doing fit with what you feel like you should be doing? That cognitive dissonance is a mother effort because you can't lie to it.
Yeah.
It knows. It knows.
You can lie to yourself.
Oh yeah. And that's where your perception will know. You know better. And that's the terrible thing about it is you know better.
Yes.
You feel it.
Yep.
You can't lie to yourself. So that first part is like, okay, happiness. Am I happy? Am I enjoying what's going on? Obviously, you're not going to enjoy the minutia, all the little things that happen. Overall, 80%, 70%, yeah, things are cool. Good.
Good.
That's where you need to be. That's a good start. If not, why?
Yeah.
And write it down. I carry this little journal around, and this thing is my promise journal on the other side here, because I track things.
That's good.
So that way I know what's going on. If you can't track it and put data points down, you can't change.
Right.
At least observe and figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
Then from there, so we figure out you don't like it. Why? Okay, there's a couple things that might be why.
Yeah.
Let's change those couple things. Okay, what's happening now? Where are you now?
You got to be able to start somewhere.
So that's where this whole thing is cool. Is like, oh, you think you can change someone's life just by posting? Yeah, I do. I think where was it for me that it happened?
Right.
And it was on YouTube videos. I listen to YouTube videos all the time about podcasts about, I don't know, everything from Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson pushing plates saying, focus, versus people like Jordan Peterson and that running crazy guy, David Goggins, and I got a plethora of people that I've listened to, and they're all preaching different parts of the formula. And I think we are talking to the whole system because we're being common about it. We're not. I'm not trying to build a huge brand. I'm just trying to say like, hey, if you don't like what's going on, you're not happy.
Change it.
Change it.
Keep it simple.
Change it.
Yeah.
Change it. Just try. What's the big? You already don't like it. It's not. It might get worse, but then you don't like that. So then change that. And just try.
And I know it's been said. I don't know how many times by wise men and women, whomever. It always gets worse before it gets better.
Yeah.
That is very true. I mean, by my experience, it does.
Yeah.
It gets worse. It gets bad. It gets terrible. You think some terrible shit.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, there's light at the end of the tunnel, believe it or not. There always is.
Somebody told me that the pain that you go through is what gives you your power. So pain equals power. The struggle equals reason why to prevail. And that's where you can connect to people because we all go through this pain part. But not everybody, is through it. So you're able to connect because you're through it.
Yeah.
And that stuck with me.
That makes a lot of sense.
Stuck with me for sure. Just like you guys are stuck with us.
Oh yeah, we're still going.
Still says 3. Wow.
Nice.
This is cool. This has been cool. So what do we do with this now? We've finished it. We've got 53 minutes and 2 seconds, and the best 10 to 15 minutes you guys got right here.
These are the deleted scenes.
These are uncut, X-rated.
This is the Snyder cut.
Yeah.
This is the extended version.
Snyder cut.
I don't know. We'll figure that out. We'll figure out a way to sit down.
I can create a little website, and we can just post it on there. Is it? Do we put like a picture of a beach on a YouTube video and just post it out on YouTube? I'm cool with that.
We can figure something out. I've got some ideas on that.
I'm cool. I think we definitely get them out, and then we just figure out what we want.
Yep.
What we want to do with it. We'll see where if people comment on it and they say, hey, we really like, minute 7, minute 8. We might listen to it again and just see. I'm sure it sounded great. The test that we did sounded great.
I would like to go back and listen to it.
I did start talking like this at the very beginning. Like,
I noticed the levels were a little hot right off the rip, and I noticed you started back up.
I was like, I can talk back here and it'll pick up. It's so funny. But
trial and error, man.
For me, unfortunately, I don't get to learn until I get all of the bad shit out.
Yeah. That's not unfortunate.
Yeah, I guess it's not unfortunate. It's just typically at the
Still
beginning,
learning.
typically at the beginning, it's just like a lot of failing.
Right.
But what's cool is like, oh yeah, I failed that. Let's move that around a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm not, it's not
A different
for,
approach.
yeah, it's not for, I don't, now that I don't care about what other people think, care about what other people think.
Right.
Now that the perception of that is, okay, I'm just trying to get better.
Yeah.
Instead of like, okay, yeah, dude, I messed up. I misspoke. Okay, what are you gonna make fun of me? You get in front of a mic and talk for an hour and tell me how you're able to, and do this. It's not easy.
And that's the thing. Everyone's going to mess up in some way, shape, or form. And if they're called out on it, okay, own it.
Yeah.
And then fix it.
Messed up.
Right.
I'm gonna work to be better about it.
Right.
But why don't you look at the whole message and see what the goal is here? Because the goal isn't for me to be perfect. My goal is for you to be your part
real.
of it and be real.
Right.
I connect with authenticity more than I connect with perfection.
Same.
Because I am not perfect.
I am.
Oh.
So.
That's so funny. Dude, we could talk for, I could talk for an hour.
I know.
And you're getting tired. I saw you yawn.
I did. I was trying not to. I have kids. I was
Kids.
going to I'm going to take a picture of the setup so we can set it up properly again the next time.
Yeah. It's 11:11. I don't make wishes anymore because I make them my reality.
Ooh, that's good.
Whoa. And I like this hand gesture now. That's been my new thing.
That's a Florida thing now.
I used to do this for some reason.
Which one? What was it?
For some reason I was doing this.
Oh, yeah. I don't know why that.
I don't know what came of that. Did I just get a new follower? What's that mean? Invitation to go live together. Let's see. What is this? What's the combo? What is going on?
I don't know.
Let's just see. Who wants to go
Are we
live?
still live right now?
Yeah, we are still live.
Really?
Yeah, we got 6 people on this bad boy.
Nice.
Hey,
Shit,
you guys
we're
missed.
all night.
You guys missed the whole show. He was doing magic earlier.
Ta-da!
I did a push-up thing. I hit 1,000 in a row without stopping, as you can tell by my chest. We went live when we should have recorded that. That'd have been cool. Especially that thing where you got that bird to come out of your forearm.
I know. Now we're not going to be able to do that again.
No,
because I only have one other forearm and no more birds.
No more birds. They're all gone. Man. Who wanted to go live with us? Also, this water bottle I thought was super cool and made me different. And now I realize it's just cumbersome and annoying. Everywhere I go, I'm like, hey.
I thought my water bottle was cool, but it's empty.
It's empty. Mine's empty
So
too.
It's been sitting that way
I'm
for a
out.
while now.
Let's see who wants to talk with us, and then we'll go to bed soon because I'm typically asleep by now.
So my.
Yeah, jeez.
Actually, I haven't eaten since
You haven't eaten?
yesterday.
What are
I
these?
think I'm going on 48 hours.
Oh
fasting.
jeez. Oh my. Oh my. We did get. Look, dude, we got a bunch of questions.
Awesome.
Wow.
That's good.
Go live together. Let's click on this. Suggested hosts. What does that mean?
I have no idea.
Wow. You want to try one? Let's see.
Sure.
Who do you want to try? 5 online.
Because I can't read any of them from here. I'm going to let you.
38.
I'm the TikTok novice here.
Okay, you want to try the one with 38?
Sure.
25. Oh yeah, there we go. Invite. There we go. Let's check that out. One new message. Still on? We're still on. I don't know who that is. Why is my head sideways? We should just turn straight. I can read. This is somewhat of a podcast that's just started. The ability to be yourself and have someone that allows you to be yourself is the key to happiness.
Amen.
Hell yeah.
Amen to that.
Heck yeah. Whoever said that? That was Arcelia Maria. Agreed. Life is short. Live it and love it. Hi there. What's the combo? You missed a lot of it. Top tip for a 21-year-old to find themselves and be present. Don't know if we're supposed to be asking questions. Top tip for a 21-year-old to find themselves and to be present.
Now, you're closer to that age.
I've
than I
got
am
it.
now, so-
I've got it.
Okay.
Are you still in here? S. Loin, or whatever the heck your name is? Hope you are. Top tip for a 21-year-old to find, let me make sure I reply. To find themselves and to be present. Don't know, no, that's not important. Find themselves and be present. My answer to that is simple. Jump into the shit that you don't want to jump into. Have the conversations that you don't want to have, and you'll find yourself. Because it'll make you, you'll be brought to the light.
That's a good point.
Whatever you're avoiding, unfortunately, your body and your mind knows that you need to address. And by ignoring that, you don't get the perspective that you need, because in that situation, it never, well, I'm not going to say that. I was going to say it never turns out as bad as you think it might. But I've been in spots where like when I broke off my engagement and when I presented the fact I wanted to sell the business at the point I was at, like I thought these conversations were going to kill me. I thought it was over, man. I mean, like chest, like bent over, like wow.
And it's the anxiety that's actually doing the killing.
Yeah. And guess what? I'm still here.
Yeah. Yep.
It wasn't that bad.
If not better than before.
So I would say, to give yourself perspective, one, slow down. Right?
Yeah.
Would you say the times that you've pulled back and then gotten to then go forward? That gives me perspective.
That's actually what I will say. If I have a strength in life, that's something that I feel like I do very well.
Yeah.
Some people call it patience. For me, I just refer to it as my ability to, if things start to get real messy, right? And you're trying to find that next step. You want to take that next step and you don't know how to do it. It's okay to step back, just kind of lie in the weeds.
Yeah.
Wait for whatever it is to materialize in front of you, and then step out and into it.
Yeah.
Right? So you can't go full bore all the time. You'll wear yourself out. You'll kill yourself.
Mm-hmm.
If you learn to practice that patience, if anyone's familiar with Taoism, that's kind of in that realm, where you're allowing things to just happen and take place. For me, I think that I kind of gravitate towards that when I'm met with either a big decision coming up, or let's even say, I'm going through, Justin, recently I told you I was going through a couple of depressing weeks.
Yeah.
Nothing really, triggered it. There was no reason that I could find that I was just kind of down in the dumps and really just not feeling my, happy-go-lucky self. But I'm at that age now where I can recognize that and understand that, okay, I'm going to come out of this at some point, hopefully sooner rather than later. All I have to do is just be patient, weather the storm the best that I can, because pretty soon those storm clouds break and it's sunshine again.
Just making it through.
Yeah.
Just keep on plugging.
Keep on trucking.
Yeah, trucking, however you want to say it. Let's see if there's any other questions.
Yeah.
I love that. That was cool.
Fun.
Awesome. That makes sense. Makes me realize not to settle one day.
Don't settle.
Thank you. Settle.
Yes, that is so true.
Wow.
Never, ever settle for anything that is less than what you want. And I don't mean that in a selfish way at all. I feel like I settled in some respects early on in my life because it's what was expected of me. And I did that, as I spoke about earlier, I did that in an effort to, appease others and not myself.